Have you ever watched an older person you care about and noticed a change that felt like more than just another birthday? It's not one specific thing you can point to, but a subtle shift, a new hesitation in their step, a quietness that wasn't there before, or a general sense that they are slowing down in a way that feels different from simple tiredness. This feeling often brings a mix of concern and uncertainty, leaving you to wonder if what you're seeing is a normal, inevitable part of aging, or if it's a sign that something more is happening beneath the surface. As an educator dedicated to demystifying complex health topics, I've seen how this uncertainty can be a heavy burden for families. Our goal today is not to provide medical advice, but to explore these observations from an educational perspective. We will look at some of the most commonly misunderstood changes in older adults, separating the widespread myths about aging from the valuable information these signs can offer. This video is designed to be a calm, informative guide to help you become a more aware and compassionate observer for the people you love, providing clarity instead of anxiety. Many of us have been conditioned to believe that a significant decline in energy, mobility, and social interest is simply what it means to get old, an unchangeable fate. However, this video proposes a crucial reframing. Instead of seeing these changes as the final chapter, we can learn to view them as indicators of something called frailty. This is a concept that describes a state of increased vulnerability and a reduced ability to cope with stressors. Understanding this shift in perspective is powerful because it transforms passive acceptance into an opportunity for proactive, humane, and dignified support. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore three key areas where these indicators often appear. We'll discuss progressive slowness, unintentional weight loss, and social withdrawal. By the end of our conversation, you will have a much clearer understanding of the fundamental difference between the natural aging process and the signs of a growing systemic vulnerability. The purpose here is not to cause alarm, but to empower you with knowledge. This awareness is a tool for enhancing quality of life, fostering empathy, and supporting your loved ones with greater confidence and compassion at every stage of their journey. If you believe that clear, responsible, and educational content like this is important, please consider taking a moment to support our channel. By liking this video, subscribing, and leaving a comment below, you help us reach more people who may be navigating these same questions and concerns. Each interaction signals that this information is valuable, allowing it to be shared with other families who could benefit from a more informed and compassionate perspective on aging. Your support helps build a community grounded in awareness and thoughtful care, and we appreciate you being a part of it. Let's begin our exploration with the first and perhaps most visible indicator, a progressive slowness and loss of physical strength. This isn't about the occasional day of feeling tired. Instead, it's a noticeable and consistent decrease in walking speed, or a new difficulty with simple, everyday tasks. You might observe them struggling to get up from a low chair without using their arms for support, or taking much longer to walk a familiar path. This change is often so gradual that it becomes the new normal, easily missed until it becomes pronounced. Yet it serves as a fundamental indicator of their overall physical resilience. In daily life, this sign can be incredibly subtle. It may appear as shorter, more hesitant steps, or a reluctance to walk on uneven surfaces they once navigated with ease. You might notice that an activity they used to enjoy, like a short walk in the park or a trip to the grocery store, now leave them disproportionately fatigued. The key here is the pattern of change over time. It's the shift from a confident, steady gait to one that seems more cautious and requires more effort. These small observations are not trivial. They are valuable pieces of information about their changing physical capacity. One of the main reasons this progressive slowness goes unaddressed is because it's so easily dismissed. Our culture often equates old age with a natural and inevitable decline into inactivity. We might think, of course they're slowing down, they're getting older, or even misinterpret their fatigue as laziness or a lack of motivation. While well-intentioned, this normalization can lead us to underestimate what this sign is truly communicating. It's not just about getting tired. It's a potential indicator of a deeper shift in their systemic health, one that deserves our thoughtful and compassionate attention rather than passive acceptance. Now, let's turn our attention to a second equally important indicator: unintentional weight loss. This is a sign that often flies under the radar because it can be misinterpreted. We're talking about a visible drop in weight. You might notice their clothes fitting more loosely or their face appearing thinner. That occurs without any deliberate effort to diet or exercise. It's a change that happens quietly, often over several months. Unlike other health signs that might be accompanied by obvious symptoms, this one can be silent, making careful observation from a loved one an incredibly important part of recognizing it. This sign also manifests in more subtle ways related to their eating habits. You may notice a significant reduction in their appetite, where they consistently eat smaller portions than they used to. Perhaps they start refusing foods they once loved, or express a general lack of interest in meals altogether. It's not about being a picky eater. It's a fundamental shift in their relationship with food and nourishment. These changes at the dinner table can be one of the earliest and most consistent clues that something more is happening beneath the surface, signaling a change in their body's metabolic or physiological state. The great risk with unintentional weight loss is how it's often perceived. In a society that frequently views weight loss as a positive achievement, family members might initially think, well, at least they're not gaining weight, or even see it as a healthy development. However, for an older adult, losing weight without trying is a major red flag that should never be ignored. It is not a sign of good health, but rather an indicator of potential underlying issues. Underestimating its importance means missing a critical opportunity to understand what their body is communicating, a message that deserves careful and serious consideration. Finally, let's explore our third key area of observation: social withdrawal and a growing sense of apathy. This sign moves beyond the physical and into the emotional and psychological realm. It's characterized by a noticeable loss of interest in social activities, hobbies, and even family interactions that were once a reliable source of joy and engagement for them. You might find that they consistently turn down invitations to family gatherings, or stop participating in a club or community group they used to cherish. This isn't about a simple desire for a quiet afternoon. It's a pattern of disengagement from life. This withdrawal often appears as a growing preference to be alone, or an apparent emotional indifference to events and people around them. They might seem less conversational, less responsive, or simply checked out during moments that used to spark their interest. For example, a person who once eagerly followed their favorite sports team may no longer watch the games, or a grandparent who loved hearing about their grandchildren's day may now seem distant. This change in their social energy and emotional presence is a profound indicator that warrants our gentle, non-judgmental attention and a deeper level of understanding. This sign is frequently misinterpreted because it's easy to rationalize as a personal choice. Family members might say, they've always been a private person, or they're just enjoying their peace and quiet. While respecting an individual's autonomy is crucial, it's equally important to distinguish between a genuine preference for solitude and a new, uncharacteristic pattern of isolation. Underestimating this change as a simple personality trait risks overlooking its potential significance as an indicator of their underlying mental and cognitive health, a quiet signal that they may be struggling in ways that aren't immediately visible to the outside world. Now, let's explore why these signs often appear so gradually. The changes we've discussed, slowness, weight loss, and withdrawal, are frequently the visible surface of deeper silent processes unfolding within the body. These underlying conditions often develop slowly, over months or even years, without causing the kind of acute pain or sudden symptoms that would typically prompt a doctor's visit. This quiet progression is precisely what makes them so challenging to recognize. It can create a false sense of security, where the absence of a clear complaint is mistaken for the absence of a problem, allowing significant changes to become normalized over time. When we observe a progressive slowness, It's often linked to a condition called sarcopenia. This isn't just ordinary weakness. It's the gradual and systemic loss of muscle mass, strength, and function. This process doesn't happen overnight. Instead, it slowly chips away at a person's physical reserves, making activities that were once easy, like climbing stairs or carrying groceries, feel increasingly difficult. Because there's no single event or injury to point to, this decline is easily attributed to just getting old, when in reality, it's a specific physiological process that significantly impacts their resilience and independence. Beyond sarcopenia, this loss of strength can also be connected to other slow-moving conditions. For instance, early-stage heart failure can reduce the body's overall energy supply, leading to fatigue and shortness of breath with minimal exertion. Similarly, undiagnosed osteoarthritis can introduce stiffness and discomfort that makes movement more challenging, encouraging a more sedentary lifestyle. These conditions often begin without dramatic symptoms, quietly contributing to a cycle of decreasing activity and increasing physical vulnerability. The gradual nature of their onset means they can become well established before they are ever formally identified, hidden behind the mask of normal aging. Just as physical strength can diminish quietly, so too can a person's weight and nutritional status. Unintentional weight loss is another sign that often points to a silent, underlying cause. The process can be so gradual that it goes unnoticed until clothes become significantly looser, or a family photo reveals a striking difference. This is not about a conscious choice to eat less. Rather, it's typically the result of physiological changes that are not immediately obvious. Understanding these potential hidden drivers is crucial, as they are often addressable issues that impact overall health far beyond the number on a scale. One of the most common yet overlooked causes of weight loss is related to the very experience of eating. Silent dental problems, such as ill-fitting dentures or a toothache that isn't mentioned, can make chewing difficult and painful. At the same time, a natural decline in the senses of taste and smell can make food seem bland and unappealing, stripping away the pleasure that encourages a healthy appetite. These are not dramatic illnesses, but they are significant barriers to proper nutrition. They slowly erode a person's desire to eat, leading to a gradual reduction in calorie intake and subsequent weight loss. Deeper still, unintentional weight loss can be a sign of internal conditions that are not visible to the naked eye. For example, gastrointestinal disorders can impair the body's ability to absorb nutrients from food, meaning that even if they are eating, they are not getting the full benefit. Furthermore, depressive episodes in older adults often manifest as a loss of appetite rather than overt sadness. Chronic diseases also increase the body's metabolic demands, causing it to burn through energy reserves more quickly. Because these processes lack obvious external symptoms like pain, they can go uninvestigated for far too long. Moving from the physical to the psychosocial, the pattern of social withdrawal and apathy also has its roots in silent internal conditions. A growing disinterest in life is rarely just a simple personality shift or a newfound desire for quiet. More often, it is an external expression of an internal struggle that may be difficult for the person to articulate or even understand themselves. This change in behavior is a meaningful signal, pointing toward underlying issues that affect not just their mood, but their cognitive and emotional health. Misinterpreting this as a mere preference for solitude can mean missing important clues. For example, this withdrawal can be one of the earliest signs of depression, which frequently presents in older adults not as crying or sadness, but as a profound apathy and lack of energy. They may not feel sad in the traditional sense, but rather empty or emotionally flat. Similarly, the early stages of cognitive decline can make social interactions more confusing or taxing, leading a person to pull back from situations they can no longer navigate with ease. These conditions develop internally, and without explicit complaints, their behavioral symptoms are often mistaken for a deliberate choice to be alone. Finally, one of the most powerful and silent drivers of isolation is untreated chronic pain. Living with constant discomfort is physically and emotionally exhausting. It consumes a vast amount of a person's energy, leaving little left for social engagement, hobbies, or even conversation. The effort required to simply get through the day can make the idea of interacting with others feel overwhelming. Because this pain may be a private burden they don't frequently discuss, the resulting withdrawal is easily misinterpreted by loved ones as a desire for peace, when it is in fact a coping mechanism for a relentless and invisible struggle. Now that we've explored the signs and their underlying silent conditions, let's consider how our own common, well-intentioned decisions can create hidden risks. When we see an older loved one slowing down, a natural instinct is to protect them. We encourage them to take it easy or don't overdo it. While this comes from a place of love, it can inadvertently accelerate muscle loss and functional decline. By normalizing a sedentary lifestyle, we contribute to a vicious cycle where decreased activity leads to greater weakness, which in turn leads to even less activity, unintentionally undermining their independence. Similarly, our habits around food can have profound consequences. When an older person's appetite wanes, it's common to offer simple, easy-to-make foods like thin soups, crackers, or toast, simply because it's the only thing they'll eat. This practical solution, however, often leads to a diet poor in essential nutrients, paving the way for malnutrition. We might also dismiss their lack of interest in food as them just being picky, which prevents us from investigating the real, often treatable issues behind their reduced appetite, allowing a serious nutritional problem to develop in plain sight. The same pattern applies to their social well-being. When we notice a loved one withdrawing, a common and respectful response is to give them their space. We might reduce the frequency of our calls or visits, believing we are honoring their desire for quiet and not wanting to be a bother. Yet, this decision can unintentionally deepen their isolation. It deprives them of essential social and cognitive stimulation that helps maintain mental sharpness and emotional connection. What begins as a gesture of respect can inadvertently worsen feelings of loneliness and accelerate a decline that human connection could help slow. As we can see, these everyday choices to encourage rest, simplify meals, or step back socially are not malicious. They are born from care and a desire to help. However, without a deeper understanding of the underlying processes at play, these actions can form a pattern that inadvertently contributes to the very vulnerability we wish to prevent. Recognizing this dynamic is not about assigning blame. It's about shifting our perspective so that our actions can be as informed and supportive as our intentions, fostering resilience rather than dependence and isolation through our daily interactions. This brings us back to the central idea of our conversation today. The common belief is that seeing an older loved one slow down, lose weight, or withdraw is simply watching a natural, unavoidable conclusion unfold. But we proposed a crucial reframing. These are not signs of a sealed fate, but rather valuable indicators of frailty, a state of increased vulnerability that deserves our thoughtful attention. This shift in perspective is incredibly powerful because it moves us from a position of passive acceptance to one of proactive, compassionate, and dignified support, focused on enhancing their quality of life. Throughout our discussion, we explored three key areas of observation. We learned that progressive slowness can signal a loss of muscle mass, not just tiredness. We saw how unintentional weight loss is a serious red flag, often linked to silent health issues. And we understood that social withdrawal is frequently an external sign of an internal struggle, such as depression or chronic pain. By viewing these not as isolated problems, but as interconnected parts of a systemic process, we gain a much clearer picture of a person's overall well-being and resilience at this stage of their life. The knowledge you've gained is not meant to turn you into a diagnostician or to fill you with anxiety. Instead, its true value lies in empowering you to become a more conscious and compassionate observer. This awareness is a tool that allows you to notice the subtle changes with greater understanding, to ask more thoughtful questions, and to offer support that is grounded in empathy rather than assumption. It is about honoring your loved one's journey by paying attention to what their body and behavior are communicating, fostering a deeper connection built on informed care. It is absolutely essential to remember that this video is for educational and informational purposes only, and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. The insights shared here are meant to broaden your understanding of general health concepts. Any specific concerns you have about a loved one's health should always be discussed with a qualified healthcare professional, such as their family doctor or a geriatrician. These experts can provide accurate assessments, diagnoses, and personalized guidance based on an individual's unique health history and circumstances. Always rely on official medical sources for guidance. Ultimately, our goal is to approach aging not with fear, but with wisdom and humanity. By learning to recognize these indicators, we can help ensure that our loved ones are supported in a way that respects their dignity and prioritizes their quality of life. This journey is about fostering an environment of care that is both loving and informed, where small acts of observation can lead to meaningful improvements in well-being. It's about valuing every chapter of life and providing the thoughtful support that allows it to be lived as fully and comfortably as possible. Thank you for investing your time to explore this important topic with us today. Your commitment to understanding these nuances reflects a deep sense of care and responsibility. By becoming more informed, you are better equipped to navigate the changes that come with age, both for yourself and for the people you love. We hope this conversation has provided you with clarity and confidence, empowering you to observe with greater compassion and to support your loved ones with the dignity they so richly deserve. Take care and be well.